Hey there and welcome back. I'm Michelle Knight of BrandMary.com, and we have been talking a lot about content creation, repurposing, and which social media platforms are right for you. But despite all of those videos, a big question still remains. How do you actually find content ideas to share with your existing community and to share as a way to attract new members? Well, today I'm sharing with you 5 of my top tips to find an endless supply of content ideas. A really big struggle to constantly have a stream of content ideas coming your way. And I wanted to share this video with you because honestly, after this video, you won't have an excuse anymore. You have 5 different ways to come up with ideas no matter what industry you are in. Before we jump into the 5 tips, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anytime I release a new video. The first 3 tips I'm going to share with you are hands down my favorite way to get content ideas, and that's because the information is already available to you online. These are 3 of my favorite tools that you can use that don't require you to have a conversation with pretty much anyone. So let's dive into my first tip, using the tool Answer the Public. Using this free tool, you can type in any topic into the search of Answer the Public. Let's say that you are a photographer and you want to type in photography. If you type in photography, Answer the Public will give you a complete diagram of what people are Googling online. And these are specific questions. So you can go through and look at these specific questions and then write down a bunch of content ideas that pertain to those questions, or you can even take it a step further and click on the individual topic, which will then open up a screen in Google and allow you to see what other people are writing about regarding that topic. This is a great way to see what other people in your industry are chatting about and how you can put your own spin on it. The second tool I want to share with you today is called Keywords Everywhere. I use this tool multiple times a week when I am coming up with titles and content ideas for my blog and YouTube. The idea of Keywords Everywhere is you actually get to see what people are searching for. And this is really important. I mean, creating content is one thing, but if nobody's searching for it, then your content isn't going to be found, and therefore it's really doing nothing for your business. So using a tool like Keywords Everywhere, which is completely free as a Chrome extension, you can increase your odds of being seen and improve your SEO. Once you have the Chrome extension installed, you can type in a keyword. So let's use personal branding. After I type in personal branding in the Google search bar, underneath I can see how many searches per month this particular keyword is getting. Again, this is important because if it's 0 searches per month, it's not going to do a lot for you in terms of building your community. Once you find a keyword that has some traffic, you can scroll down, just like any time on Google, and see popular content. But this is where Keywords Everywhere comes in. On the bottom right-hand side, you can actually see a list of similar content. So let's say I typed in personal branding, and it's showing that people are really interested in the psychology of color when it comes to branding. Well, that tells me that I could create a video or write a blog post or a social media post around the psychology of color. Tip number 3 is literally how I created content ideas for my business for like the first year. It's called internet searching, or I like to call it internet stalking. It basically means you're looking up content ideas without having to really engage on these platforms. So you can use platforms like Facebook groups, or YouTube is a great one as well. And you basically can go in and search in these forums, in these communities, and see popular posts around the topic that you are specializing in. So I used to go into Facebook groups and type in personal branding and see what questions people were asking. I also specialized in Squarespace early on in my business. So I would type Squarespace and see all of these different questions people, my ideal clients, were asking. And it gave me a ton of ideas that I could create content around. Another hack that falls under the internet searching category is finding influencers that are in the same niche as you. So for instance, I follow someone who has a really big podcast and a huge internet following. She also has a Facebook group, and every 30 days she posts in the Facebook group, "What topics do you want me to cover on my Instagram?" I don't have to do anything except for read all of the comments on that post, and suddenly I have a ton of ideas. So again, if you want to use this strategy, make sure the influencer is in your niche and make sure your target market is very similar. Number 4 is sharing your story. Look, I couldn't do an entire video for you and not talk about the power of storytelling. Sometimes when you're at a loss for what to say or how to show up online, it can be as simple as sharing your story. Not only is your story a great way to become relatable to your audience, but it also tends to boost engagement. Look, people don't want to just learn tips and tricks and how to do this and the best strategy for that. They also want to know who you are as a person. So if you are taking this approach, which I highly recommend, and sharing pieces of your story as part of your content creation process, then you want to make sure that the stories that you're sharing do a couple things. You want to be super strategic here and make sure that the story that you're sharing is relatable to your audience. Some of my top questions to ask myself when I'm getting ready to share a story are, will my audience find value in this? How does this story support them where they're at on their journey, and does this build trust? Be sure to watch my video on brand story if you want some of my top tips for getting in touch with your story and sharing that online as part of your brand. And our last tip today, tip number 5, is all about community. If you already have a community, this can be one of the easiest ways to create content, and it just requires you to ask them what they want. It seems so freaking simple, but we miss the opportunity time and time again. And I really wanted to include this tip for you today because I know so many of you have a community, but I also know a lot of you don't have a large following, and I want to encourage you that even if you have 5 or 10 people in your Facebook group, on your email list, following you on Instagram, those are still community members that can give you valuable topics to create content around. You can use tools like polls in Facebook groups. You can ask questions or do polls on IG stories. I love asking questions in my Instagram feed. And again, it can be as simple as just saying, what is your number 1 struggle in personal branding? Another thing that I do every 90 days in my business, and I highly recommend this if you have a large following, is I create a brief survey where I ask my audience what they're struggling with regarding a specific topic, what kind of content they ultimately want me to create, what programs and offers they would be interested in, and if I could create one free piece of content that they absolutely needed, what would that be? And every 90 days, I survey my audience and I get 90 days worth of ideas from one simple survey. There you have it. 5 tips to come up with content ideas for your brand and your business. I know sometimes we can get in our head and it feels really overwhelming that we have to come up with content to share online. But I'm telling you, if you use these 5 tips and you recycle them, you will always have high value content to share with your audience. And content is such a core part of the branding process. It is the avenue in which you get to share your personality, your brand, your offer, your voice with the world. And if you're interested in not just standing out on social media, but also creating high value content for your audience and creating a thriving community that leads to a revenue generating business, then I want to invite you to my masterclass where I'm sharing the Build a Better Brand method. You're actually going to learn my 3-part method to do everything I just explained to you right now. In addition, we talk heavily about content creation because, again, I think it is such an important part of not only creating a brand that your community wants more of, but also a brand that expands and gets awareness and allows you to amplify your voice. So you can do those big things that you dream of, like writing books and standing on stage and helping millions of women. To get your hands on this masterclass, head to brandmary.com/brandmasterclass. It was such a pleasure talking content creation with you over the past month. Be sure to like this video, comment below, and let me know your favorite tips. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video that is released every single Monday. I'll see you guys soon for another video.